What up, though? So today is the day after Thanksgiving. It's about 3:45. Got a better room, so I can do this a little bit better. Shaved off the old King Tut beard, um, mostly because I felt like I looked like a meth head or a crackhead, and I was like, I don't like that shit. So yeah, had to go. Um, yeah, so I'm having some troubles just in life in general, and not a whole lot I want to go into on YouTube, I guess, um, as far as like family problems and stuff like that. But as far as just regular life goes, um, yeah, I'm gonna probably start a series. I built my own series. Started. Um, I built my own camper van about 3 years ago and traveled a little bit in it. I lived in it for a little while as well. Various places, at my mom's house, my dad's house, at a place that we were working for out in the country for a little, like 4 months. Traveled for like only weeks at a time. I would travel from place to place. It was really kind of to get me from place to place, really. I wanted to do more like van life, but yeah, I didn't really have the income to be able to do that or the support and that kind of stuff. So um, yeah, it was a little bit different for me. And then being by myself, I ended up sleeping a lot at like Walmarts and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna do a series on what van life was for me, all the stuff that I did and places I went. I've seen amazing things. Going to like Washington D.C. and Philadelphia, and Boston, and New York City, all up and down the East Coast, all along the southern part of the United States, going to Texas and New Orleans and all these places. So I'll probably end up catching up the van life series, but I think I'm going to end up kind of going in that direction again, just because of my situation and what's going on around me. Um, Not exactly what I had in mind, but uh, seems like the best option at the moment, and I'd like to see kind of what comes out of it. Um, so there's some really big decisions that I have to make. Some things I really have to get done to be able to do that. I have to get my van um, insured and switched to the state that I'm in from the state that I was living in California. Um, and then possibly change over my driver's license. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I don't know how that's going to go because there's a lot of information that I don't have to be able to do that. So um, that might be not really worth the trouble. Um, so now I'm kind of plowing through this issue, and it's become very immediate. My van has been requested. I'm staying with my dad right now, and I've had the van parked for over a year, and the landlord has basically demanded that I move my van, and I don't really have a place to put it. And at this point, I think it would probably be best if I moved back into it and kind of figured out a way to live that way for a little while. It's my house, it's my home. Not my home, but it's my house. Like my bed, that I paid for, that I slept in, that I installed. Like there's a lot that I need to change about the inside of the van um, to be able to do all that stuff. But it seems like the most viable option at the moment. But logistically, there's a lot of hurdles I have to go through. and I have to get insurance. I have to change everything over to the state that I'm in. Insurance is a lot higher than I was paying. I was paying like $30, $40, and now it's jumping up to at least $100 a month. And I don't make a whole lot of money because working with my dad is just impossible to do. And there's just a lot of logistics I have to figure out, getting all my stuff together, what's going to fit back in there, and going through that whole process. So I was alerted that I had to move the van immediately on Wednesday, even though the email was sent out last Friday. And so now I'm a bit worried because, being able to, right now the van is for affidavit of non-use, and which means I can't drive it. And so if I don't have a place to park it and I can't drive it, I'm really kind of stuck. I don't really have a whole lot of money. I don't really have a whole lot of options at the moment. It's quite possible that, I might have to sell that van and figure something else out, which I would rather not do, but you got to do what you got to do in life, So, really the idea was to move from the van I have, which is a GMC Vandura 1500. So you can't stand up in it straight, but I've done a lot of modifications to it. I put in, completely built the inside from bare bones, I think twice or 3 times. Installed a fan and solar panels and the whole nine. And it's kind of ready to go. The vehicle part of it is not doing well. And I kind of limped into town, so I have to figure out the vehicle aspect of it, getting insured, getting the registration title switched over, and then kind of what comes after that. What is it capable of doing? Maybe it needs new tires. Because it's been sitting for so long, I kind of want to redo the interior, but the budget I have will barely allow me to switch over the van. To get insurance and then pay all the registration fees and go through this whole process. I was kind of banking on the fact that I wouldn't have to move into that and that I could possibly sell that and then get like a short bus, or maybe even be here for an extended period of time while I got my next step in life kind of together. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be any of those are viable options. I think my only viable option right now is to go through this whole process, which I really didn't anticipate. I kind of let the van go and let it be what it was going to be, thinking that, I would just sell it and get something else and do something else. And at this point, that might have to be the only viable option. Depends on kind of what happens over the next couple of days, maybe a week, and how all of this goes. It's I'm not sure. So the problem is I don't have very much money at all, even though I just worked my ass off for 2 months. Sorry about the noise. It's where I'm at. It's a lot of noise. So I just worked my ass off for 2 months, and I didn't really get paid what I expected to. And so the amount of money I'm working with, mixed with trying to get more money and working and getting more, I don't have a whole lot of viable options. It's possible that it might make more sense to just sell the van as is and kind of deal with it from there, instead of jumping through all these hoops and trying to get it registered in the state I'm in. But I don't really know, so I'm kind of I'm all of a sudden in this mode of like, what am I supposed to do? Like very quickly. Like I have to figure this shit out in the next week, easy. More like as soon as possible, like days. Even though it's been like a year, I wasn't really focused. Speaking of focus, this thing keeps going in and out, so I apologize for that. But I wasn't really in tune with all that stuff. I had other things going on. My mind was on other stuff, and so now all of a sudden it's like hurry up offense of what am I going to do and how am I going to do it and how fast can I do it and how much money is it going to cost me and all these kind of things, and not really knowing the outcome, and it's a little frustrating, uh, kind of get worried about like what's going on, and it's hard to figure out what is the right direction with everything. My idea was more in tune with YouTube and all of these things and this vision I have of a different lifestyle and these kind of things, and it's kind of in the past really month, I guess, especially in the last week, things have very much shifted to something different, like a different mentality of like, oh shit, I gotta do this and this and this and this instead of kind of what I was thinking, so how things go, I'm really not sure, and what I'm going to do, I really have no idea. Like it might make more sense to sell the van as is and try to get some money in my pocket to purchase something else and then renovate that and then go in that direction. My current residence, living with my dad is kind of unstable at the moment. So, and then, working with him is unstable at the moment. So, not exactly sure how to move forward. If I, like right now, I can go, it wouldn't be a great idea, but right now I could go park the van somewhere or where, probably not where it is, but I have a house that I can go live in. I mean, it may not be 100% legal, but at least I wouldn't be on the streets kind of thing. Like I wouldn't literally be homeless and living on the street kind of thing. So when you take that away and, maybe you sell that and get, hundreds of dollars for it, it's kind of, you've traded away your security, your, the very basic peace of mind that you could have. Man, this thing will not stay focused. Crazy. Like, just stay there, focused. Like, that's all you have to do. Just got this webcam a couple days ago. Just because the other one was ridiculous. So I was like, I need something a little better. Still trying to figure it out a little bit. So yeah, there's some big decisions that have to be made, and very quickly, very, very quickly. And because that's the case, and the fact that it's like the holidays, just had Thanksgiving yesterday, which I want to talk about in just a minute, but to finish this thought up is like trying to figure out kind of the best way forward in a matter of, days is not very easy. I just did not factor all of these things in to where I'm at right now, and all of a sudden things have changed drastically, and so it's kind of a little unnerving, a little like I said, frustrating, not exactly overwhelming, but more like trying to figure out, okay, what are my options? I'm a list maker. Like I love to make lists, and so I'll probably sit down and or stay seated, but I'll probably figure out, make a list of like, okay, what are my options? What can I actually do, and what are the consequences of those actions? Those options. So moving on to Thanksgiving. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. Spent Thanksgiving alone. I think it's like the third time in my life that I've done that. Usually I make a big dinner. Like I've made Thanksgiving, I think every year except for one, since like 2008 or something, or 9, since I was 23 or 4. So I've made it for quite a while. And I know exactly how to make everything. I make the whole 9, gravy, and the biggest turkey I can find, anything over 20 pounds, basically. Mashed potatoes, dressing, stuffing, cornbread dressing, by the way. Some type of vegetable, usually broccoli casserole. Like I've made big Thanksgiving dinners before, and didn't do that this year. Things are a lot different than they have been in years past. I missed one Thanksgiving when I was in California. I had to work, and I just didn't make anything. And then I was by myself again, and I decided to make the whole thing. And I ended up cooking myself like a whole huge Thanksgiving dinner and gave away plates to a bunch of people, and turkey and the whole 9. And then had food for myself for like 4 days or something. And it was great. I love Thanksgiving food. So it's good. But yesterday was a little different. I kind of chilled out. Woke up on the later side, I think like 10 o'clock. I've been waking up a lot later lately. I got to get back into the day-to-day stuff. But woke up a little late. My dad took off and went to his sister's house, which is about 3 hours away. I didn't really want to go for a lot of different reasons. One of them being the van. I didn't want to come back and have it just gone or whatever. A lot of other different reasons. And so he left probably about noon or so. And then I played a little guitar by myself for a little while. Just messing around, kind of just getting ideas, making sounds and stuff. And then talked to a friend of mine, talked to my mom for a little while, and then heated up some TV dinners. They were like turkey and dressing and all that stuff. And watched or listened to, it's a tradition that I have, which is listening to Alice's Restaurant by Arlo Guthrie. And the first Thanksgiving meal I ever completely made by myself, cooked the turkey and the whole 9. Me and my dad, I was cooking here at my dad's house, and he told me about the Arlo Guthrie thing, and because we were having like a Friendsgiving Thanksgiving. There was a bunch of people. We had like 3 waves of people that came into the house and filled up our entire deal. I think at any given time we had between 5 and 7 or 8 people that were in the chairs, and when somebody else would leave, another wave would come in and they'd sit down and eat, make a plate, sit down and eat, the whole 9. And it was actually fun. So we had 2 waves for dinner, and then we had the 3rd wave later on that night at like 7 or 8. And my great aunt came in, and she was like a jazz singer, so I played some guitar. She played a little jazz, or she sang a little bit, and we had all these people that filed in for the 3rd wave, which is like pie and coffee and stuff like that. And it was a great Thanksgiving. But it started this tradition of watching Alice's Restaurant, every Thanksgiving, and I have basically ever since. So as I was cooking my little TV dinners and stuff, I listened to Alice's Restaurant, which is like a 18, 19-minute song, but it's like a story. And they made it into a full-length movie. It's like a 2-hour movie. And it's a pretty wild movie. It's a pretty wild song, too. It gets into some weird shit in there, but it's funny, and it's all about Thanksgiving. It's like this Friendsgiving thing that they have. Alice and her husband, I guess, she runs a restaurant, right? And they are all people that like live with them. They buy an old church, and they end up hosting this big Thanksgiving dinner in the church with all these people. It's like 20, 30 people. And it's really a cool story, and it's a great Thanksgiving kind of thing, So I listened to that, and then I just bought a really cheap mini projector, and so I rented Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and projected it on the wall. It's huge, and watched that. That's like a 3-hour movie, so that was pretty much my night. After that, it was like, I think it was like 11 or something by the time I got done. And yeah, that was pretty much it. That was pretty much Thanksgiving 2020. It really wasn't that bad. I was kind of by myself. I was thinking of ways of creating this vision I have in my head of building a community and having something very similar to what's in Alice's Restaurant. And a movie I watched, I think it's called Biosphere, or Earthship or something like that, where it's this group of people start off. I got to watch it again, actually. It's very inspiring. But it's this group of people that start off living in, I think, the California desert, and they build this, it's like 10 people, and they build and maintain a farm, a ranch. And then the group, and as they're doing that, they're all like actors and performers and artists and all these things. And so they put on these like little skits and plays and entertain each other. And it's like this big community. It's not necessarily like and it was back in the 60s. So, I mean, this is like prime commune kind of thing, but it didn't really seem that way. It seemed much more like a group of like-minded people coming together and kind of living as a group just to be able to do the things that they want to do. And then they ended up getting funded by, I think, one of the Koch brothers, who's a bigwig, or somebody that's like that, like a Rothschild, like somebody that has a lot of money, and financed them. And then they ended up moving from where they were to a coastal town somewhere, I think in New England. And them as a group ended up building this big ship. They built like a big boat, basically, and then launched it and sailed around the world for like 5 or 6 years. And then and started like all these nonprofit organizations all around the world. And then they got into like Biodome or Biosphere or whatever. But to me, it's inspiring of living in that environment. I volunteered with Samaritan's Purse in 2017, and it was amazing to be in that environment and be involved in something that is a group of people that are dedicated to helping someone else or helping a community, be rebuilt. Like we were in, I think, Rockport, Texas, and right after Hurricane Harvey, and it was amazing. First of all, the devastation. It was like being in a war-torn Bosnia or something. But second of all, how all of these people came together and they worked without really any animosity, any ego, a whole lot of problems. I think the longer you were there, the more you would start experiencing the politics of being around, a big group like that. I was there for about a month. And I started, after about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I started kind of recognizing like the politics were there, and people, and people's personalities and stuff like that. But people generally would be there for like days to maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. And because you're, somebody, people would just come in and volunteer their time and be there and then leave. There's really not a whole lot of animosity or egos. You all would go out to the job site and work and do what you could, and you weren't expected. There's no quotas. There's no, he's doing as much as I am and all these kind of things. It was, you do what you can, and you're not really expected to produce. People are just grateful that you're there. A lot of people would talk to a homeowner, and that was their contribution to what was going on. People like myself was like a grunt, where it was like, you just do what you can, dragging tree limbs and stuff like that. There were people that were directors, and they were working with the homeowner, trying to figure out what they needed and how to get it done, tearing off people's roofs, or, fixing the roof, or putting a tarp over the roof so it wouldn't rain inside their house and stuff like that. And it really gave me a taste of the kind of community, the kind of work environment that I desire. And then watching stuff like, Alice's Restaurant, and I think it's called Earthship or Biosphere or something. I had to look that up because I definitely want to watch it again. But recognizing there's something like that in the world, to me, is inspiring, and I want to be able to go in that direction. And so last night I was thinking about how to do that the quickest, maybe a GoFundMe page, or I don't know, something, maybe a Patreon thing, something to that effect. So I'm still in the process. That's a little bit more long term right now because of my situation and what's going on around me. I'm still kind of figuring that stuff out and what the next step is. But yeah, it gives you like a direction to move in, So that's kind of what's going on. I mean, today is Black Friday. I'm sure everybody's out shopping and buying things and all that kind of stuff. I'm more in the mode of having to buy insurance and stuff like that. It's like, well, a little bit different. I'm not in the retail market at the moment. I'm more in the get your life together market. So have to see how things go. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know the best way forward. I think just giving it some thought and start moving in a direction and see what kind of opportunities come my way, and seize the opportunities that seem like a good idea. Or I think I try to be directed by a higher power. I call it God or Jesus Christ, but I think a lot of people have a problem with that. God told me kind of thing. I think for me is like I feel directed by a higher power. In certain moments, and I try to go in that direction, and this is one of those times, where I could use wisdom from something that's higher than myself, that knows more than I do, because I don't really know the right direction to go. So definitely gonna be doing some praying, gonna be doing some asking some questions, just kind of trying to make the best of the situation and figure out a way forward. But right now, I can tell you, I have no idea what that is. So on this channel, I'll keep people posted, and I guess, you know, I don't think anybody watches this, but yeah, we'll see. If anything, it'll be for posterity, for myself, you know, be able to look back, you know, years from now. Wow, that's what I did. You know, I should have done this, or that would have. I'm glad I did that, or you know, whatever. But I don't know. I have to see what happens, I guess, as I always say. I guess we shall see, right? And never more apropos than it is at the moment. So, anyway, that's going to do it for today. Yeah. Hope later on, if you ever, and anybody ends up watching this at some point or whatever, I hope that you've had a good Thanksgiving, or you're getting ready to have a good Thanksgiving. Whatever you do, the people around you, make sure you give them a big hug. And don't take people for granted, that's for sure. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. And what happens next, I guess we shall see.